So it definitely looks like Anglo Arms are back in business, and this is a fairly good example of an Anglo Arms product. It is the Vertigo dagger. Some people think vertigo is a fear of heights. It isn't. It is a particularly unpleasant infection. Usually you're in your ear, affects your balance. Ask me how I know. You genuinely feel like you're being sucked into the centre of the earth. It is just sucked into yourself. It's absolutely horrible. And I had an attack that went on for 2 hours. And believe me, I couldn't walk in a straight line. Really was horrible. It's gone away, thank goodness. So, the Anglo Arms Vertigo dagger. Looks good, doesn't it? I can't help thinking it's a clone of something. Exactly what, I'm not sure. So, dimensions. Overall is just a tad under 12 inches with a 6.5 inch blade with a quite nice fuller in it. And these jaggedy teeth, which does make me think it's a clone of something. I can't think what, I'm sure I've seen this before. Well, we would go outside and test this as well, but it's chucking it down again and has been for about 3 days, so I'm not going to. Blade is 440 stainless steel, and it's not actually that sharp. I know it's a plungy, daggery thing, but I would expect it to be a little bit sharper. It looks like it should be. There's quite a nice bevel line there, but it isn't. And reasonably well made. I don't know how big that tang is. There's definitely a hollow there where the tang goes in. I'm not sure it's going to be that big. Nice pommel on the top. The sheath fits, the rubber fits fairly well, and it feels like that stuff if you ever held something like an SRK survival and rescue knife. It's like that nice rubbery, grippy thing that kind of retains the heat from your hand, so it does get really, really grippy. Sheath is, some sites say it's Kydex. It looks like it. It's got that sort of grain pattern. The latest release from Knives Warehouse actually calls it injection moulded plastic. Now there is actually a type of Kydex that can be injection moulded. You can see a little injection mould there. It's at the cheaper end of the Kydex scale. Another injection mould there. Little hole, 2 little holes even, for drain and water drain out. Nice bit of webbing. This, I mean, it's nylon. It feels cheapish. It's not that bad. Nice little popper that actually works quite well with a decent sized tab on it as well. And that again, that feels like it's fairly well made. Some of these Anglo Arms things they just sort of flop about a lot and the poppers pull apart. That feels reasonably well made. All right. One thing that did intrigue me with this when I first got it, and I was fiddling with it, if you put the blade in that way round, clicks into place and stays there. If you put it in that way round, doesn't click in and falls straight out. No idea either. But it's an Anglo Arms product, you know what you're going to get. It's something fairly cheap, it's simple, it's well enough made. I think these are about, I can't remember how much, £25, something like that. I feel it's probably actually a little bit less than that. Nice little push off on the sheath for your thumb to get out. And that way round, it fits really well. That's a bit annoying. Not very clandestine either, is it? But essentially, what do you want a dagger for? I really have it because, one, it's Anglo Arms and I like Anglo Arms stuff, and 2, it's it's fairly well made. It's fairly light-ish. I can't tell you the weight off the top of my head because I've not bothered writing it down. It's a typical Anglo Arms product. It's a bit of a bargain. I wouldn't go out and start stabbing Russians in Ukraine with it. If you're out there, get yourself something a bit better than that for dispatching Russians. Overall, yeah, quite pleased for the price. It's an Anglo Arms product. You get what you pay for. These teeth are actually quite sharp and they do cut quite well. Nicely marked up. Again, with the Anglo Arms logo. Nothing on that side. I don't mind this gap here. I think it looks reasonably good actually. It looks like it's a bit cheap, but Yeah, I don't mind that at all. Let's try and remember which way around it needs to go in. Whoop. Not that way, that way. No, not that way, that way, that's it. There you go. See that white clips into place that way round, and not the other way. Who knows? So that's the Anglo Arms Vertigo. Even if you want a cheapish dagger, and one that looks quite good as well. I mean, from a distance, it looks like it should cost a lot more. So if you want a reasonable price dagger, have a go at one of those.